Good afternoon, class. Today we will be looking at word problems for algebra. And to get started, let me just ask you a question. Let's say you just bought a dog and you want to build a fence for him in your backyard. But the building code for the city and the subdivision only allows you to have the fence an area of 128 square feet. Now you want the fence to be as long as your a certain area. We want it to be twice as long as it is wide, and so those are the stipulations, and we want to know what dimension should you make your fence. So this is a very good story problem, and you may be feeling overwhelmed right now, but we're going to go through some strategies to help you so that you can more easily solve word problems. So let's go ahead and go over that. It's called SQ, RQ, CQ. And I've made little cue cards up for everybody, so I can just go ahead and pass those around so everybody can get one. And let's just go through each of these steps and then we'll apply it to some of the sample problems that I have prepared. So first of all, we start with S. Now S means to survey. So what we're going to do in the first step of this strategy is to survey the problem. We'll read through the entire word problem and just kind of skim it. You don't have to get all the details, you just have to get a basic understanding of what the question is about. Second is question. So Q. So question, we want to figure out what is the question asking? What does the problem want us to solve? Are they asking us for dimensions of a fence? Are they asking for angles of a triangle? Things like that. We need to evaluate what is it that we need to solve and we need to find out. So we have SQ. Next is R. R stands for read. We want to read the problem through one more time, and at this point you want to be sure that you pick out some of the details. You want to be able to gather more specific information. What are the dimensions? What is the given information? Next we have question. If you notice, we have question, question, and we will have question. Every other step in this strategy is a question, so that might help you remember it. But for this question, we are going to try to figure out what are the specific operations that we need to solve this problem. Is it a multiplication problem? Are we dealing with area? Are we dealing with volume, addition, ratios, percents? We need to kind of narrow down the type of problem that we're looking at. Next is C for compute. And finally, this is the step that we actually start working with setting up equations, algebraic equations for our situations, and then going ahead and solving the problem. So if you notice in the strategy, there are 6 steps. We don't work on computing the problem until the 5th step. And that's very important. A lot of people want to rush into the word problem and they don't go step by step, and then they become overwhelmed because they weren't able to sort out the information. So do not compute until step 5. We write the equations and we calculate our answer. And then finally we have SQ, RQ, C. The last one is Q. Again, you're questioning yourself every other step. For the last question, you're asking yourself, is this a reasonable answer? For example, if you're calculating the sides of a triangle and you come up with the 2 legs as 7 and 14 and the hypotenuse is only 10, that doesn't make sense. That's not reasonable because the hypotenuse should be the longest side. It should be longer than any of the legs. So you kind of have to look at it and decide, is it a reasonable answer? And then you can go ahead and plug it back into your equations and make sure that it does fit both of your equations, that it makes sense. So that's very important. A lot of people like to skip that one. Usually in this, a lot of people just do number 5, compute. And they miss a lot in the problem. So this will help you go step by step and break down the problem and make things seem more simpler.